Sir, you are starting.
Good evening and welcome to our Sit Chat, a platform for sharing insights from various experts and people who have their own perspective. We do this every Thursday, and my name is Dinakar. I am a consultant right now. And earlier to this, I was working in Bosch for 26 years in various countries. And I am a volunteer in the SIT group. And as my volunteer contribution, I basically organize the SIT Chat, a platform for people to share their ideas, share their wisdom to everybody. And before I really get on to the SIT Chat per se, let me basically introduce the various topics, the idea behind SIT Chat. It was mainly to ensure that we are giving some kind of a discussion, enabling a discussion on various topics which are interesting to the startup, and at the same time, making our SIT members visible so that they become more and more valuable in the SIT community. Today, we have Prasad who will be speaking to us. I'm sure he'll be sharing a lot of wisdom which is professionally validated. However, we suggest that you please consult your professionals before taking any insight and putting it into practice so that we don't run into a situation where you start thinking that whatever that happened to you was because of the sit chat. Positive is good, negative sometimes is not that good. Therefore, please take care of that. That's our disclaimer. And welcome to the topic today, which is tiny changes, big impact, simple habits for daily sustainability. That's what Prasad will be talking to us. And over to you, Prasad. Please introduce yourself briefly and then share your wisdom, and then we can have a small discussion. Over to you, please.
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much, Dinakar, for this opportunity to kind of share my thoughts and my views about the sustainability. The word sustainability is such a buzzword in today's times that everyone uses it and everyone has a meaning in their own angles of it. And so it's my opportunity to share my views in the last couple of years that I've had in this space of trying to build a sustainable world. And so thank you once again for this opportunity to interact with all of them. As Dinakar said, these are some of my insights, and you could always validate them with, because every topic has two sides of the coin. And so it need not be that straight away it's taken at the face value. So you can always have the other side also validated if needed. But as long as possible, all these data, all these numbers that I've tried to bring in is from known and very well-researched platforms, and some of the experiences that I've had in a couple of years. So I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know once you are able to see my screen.
Yeah, we're able to see your screen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So the topic was, I think, when we started this discussion with Dinakar, what topic should we talk about? I thought for a while and said that I think let's take something which we as individuals can create small changes in our day-to-day lifestyles, but actually create big impacts to the planet and to our country. So with that thing, I think it was more relevant of the topic of tiny changes and big impacts. Because after all, I believe in this quote very, very strongly, because the greatest threat is that we believing that someone else will do the job for us and we will have a nice, safer planet in the future. So it's our planet, it's all of our responsibility. So therefore, we all should believe in that, whether others do it or not. So we take on the responsibility of trying to be more responsible. So small changes, but sure to have big impacts. So before I go forward into each of the stages, just a few things about me. My name is Prasad SN. I'm from Bangalore, and I studied in Bangalore, worked with companies like Bosch. I was with Bosch for about 8.5 years in India and Germany. Then I worked with a company called Timken. And then from an educational background, I'm a engineer in mechanical engineering from PSIT. Then I completed my EPGDM from St. Joseph's Institute of Management, and then EGMP from IIM Bangalore. Published and researched at various research national and international conferences. Then just about in Germany, I was spreading the Indian culture through a radio show called India Chat Masala. Not just the Indian culture, but also telling them what the German laws and how an person traveling from India to Germany should follow the different laws of it with the language barriers. Also part of an organization called as EV Experts earlier. Headed the strategy over there, and then founded my company called Grivind. Grivind is nothing but it's a joining of two words, green and rewind. So we call it as Grivind, and we say that let's rewind to a greener planet. And just recently, I also published my first book, which is about startups and not as a business, but as entrepreneurs, how we need to manage ourselves through the emotions of up and downs of the entrepreneurship. So that's a bit about me. And for Grewinders, I call myself as a brewpit. I love this word called brewpit, which was written in a book from, I think, Mr. Vijay Srinivasan. I forgot the author's name, but I love this word called brewpit. So brewpit is nothing but brave stupids. So he says every entrepreneur is a brewpit because they are brave to take enough that step, and they're also stupid enough sometimes to venture into this. So these are the two brewpits of Grivind. I've talked about enough about myself. My co-founder, which is Aniket Joshi, he has about 18 years of experience, and he's a BE MBA finance, and he's from IIM Lucknow and worked in companies like L&T, Timken, and Adani. So basically an M&A guy. So what is Grivind? I mean, what are we trying to do? We are trying to become the most trusted and the largest platform which can inspire individuals and corporates to adopt green, environment-friendly, and sustainable products and solutions which can contribute to the sustainable development goals. And we want to bring the change with all kinds of like-minded people, partners, consumers, crusaders who are really caring about this greener footprint. And nothing else that we're having this session at such a nice timeline of when COP28 is happening at Dubai. And we're talking about the SDG and how we're going to create a greener footprint. So we want to do this by three major pillars for our organization. One is talk about educating of people. First and foremost, we need to educate people on the concerns because 2-3 years back when I was in the corporate, I was like I was a marketing person, marketing and business development. So kind of used to chase your targets, used to kind of how many growths are we getting. So I didn't pay much time in terms of educating myself of what big problems we are already in. So education plays a really important role of all we knowing about what's the issue. And the second is to make the switch. We need the products which are affordable. Of course, there are products in sustainability which is varying across the price range, and we are not a platform or we're not a company which plays at the niche segment because it doesn't come to the ethos of our company's name. We will never be able to rewind to a greener planet if only 1% of the population actually makes the shift. If we need to make the shift, it needs to be the mass segment, the middle segment of the consumers, and that is when we will be able to really make some impact. And therefore, we make sure that we believe in the concept of having affordable products which need not be cheaper, but definitely we all can afford these products with a slight shift or slight switching cost of addition. And also to shift to eco-friendly alternatives with all kinds of technological innovations which have the superior or an equal performance of what currently products they would be using. So that's Grivind in a gist. Now, it's not a company presentation for sure. I'm just going to make sure that we talk more about the environment. So the first and foremost is why do we really need to think about the environment? A survey by the World Economic Forum says that in just about 10 years, You can see the environmental risks, which are marked in green, which is natural disasters and extreme weather events, failure to mitigate the climate change, large-scale environmental damage incidences, failure of climate change adaptations, and natural resources crisis. All these ones, which are today in the second, sixth, seventh, and ninth position in terms of the largest world risks, are going to be the top four in the sixth position. So it shows that environmental challenges is something that this decade we all are going to face. And we need solutions, we need behavioral shifts, we need mindset shifts in terms of how we are going to tackle these risks. Because if it's not today, we might be in some of us might be in very good located places like in Bangalore or Pune and other places, but I'm sure it's today, because tomorrow we don't know what kind of challenges we might face. It can't be an immigrant challenge that we start facing. So all these challenges which we are seeing as environmental challenges is going to be the problem for tomorrow. And therefore, like the dominoes effect, they say, every small action can have ripple effects in a long term. So it's about each one of us trying to be that small change which can bring this entire change in the long run. So the importance of sustainability is that we are living sustainable, making conscious choice to live in a certain way that will ultimately reduce the impact on our earth and would really deplete its resources. So sustainability can be found in a variety of ways, which is simple adjustments in their daily lives, which is can reduce our carbon footprints as individuals and as corporates. So this is the four segments of ways that Grivind is working at. Of course, there is one big waste which is not mentioned here, but that is the e-waste. So talking about these four major wastes, if you talk about plastic waste, we know how plastic is a byproduct of petroleum, and plastic day by day is becoming a concern in terms of the number of waste that is being generated and the waste that is actually being recycled. So various statistics talk about only 10% of the plastic being recycled. And you know what plastic does? It stays for long years and it goes into the landfills. There are further pollutions in terms of microplastics that can happen, which is again going to go into our lungs. And there's a research which talked about saying the plastics are now found in the placentas of the pregnant women. So we know where we are reaching out. So even if before the baby is being born, the plastic is reaching out to the babies. Sanitary waste, again, sanitary waste is also a sub of a plastic because most of the sanitary pads which are out there in the market are majorly made out of plastic. And the ministry talks about saying 1,230 crores or 12.3 billion sanitary napkins every year is thrown. And that again is being goes into the landfill, and some of them are burnt out and some of them are just incinerated. So resulting in much more bigger problems of not just the disposal, but also the after disposing, how it is being managed. Paper waste, only about 25 to 30% of the paper is being recycled today. And the paper also generates more and more waste of in terms of methane that it could generate. So each one of these products has an alternate that we could all use. So I think most of us know about the 3 R's, but we have added one more R, which is the 4 R's, which is reduce, reuse, recycle, and we say replace it with a sustainable alternative. So we need these kind of 4 R's that we can apply to each 4 wastes of these segments. And with the current issues that we are all dealing with, that the population is growing, behavioral habits is getting like a use and throw kind of habits, fast fashions, limited landfills, and of course, poor hygiene in certain parts of the country. I said, what's the first product that I need to start with in talking about it? I mean, for the first product that I touch as soon as I wake up in the morning is the plastic toothbrush. So most of the toothbrush that is sold in India are all made out of plastics. And it's about 3.5 billion plastic toothbrushes worldwide. But in India, it's about 550 to 600 million toothbrushes that are sold each year. So understand that these plastic toothbrushes are today reaching out into the landfill. So probably our first toothbrush that we have all used is somewhere in some landfill sitting there. So what's the alternates that we have? Just a small change is that switching over to a bamboo toothbrush. Now, some can say that, yeah, the bristles are made of plastics and nylons. So they are PBTs. Now, I don't know whether I can vouch for the research of this. They say it's biodegradable, but I'm not, that's something I leave to the research part of each individual. But what I could suggest is we could all take just a small scissors, cut down the bristles of it, throw it in the normal recycle bins of plastic, and dispose the bamboo in the natural way. It could be in your own dump yard, and it could be in your gardens, and this biodegrades. So when you talk about carbon footprint from unsustainable mag, the difference between a plastic and a bamboo toothbrush is just about 20 kgs of CO2 equivalent. So this is just one plastic toothbrush, and in a year we use about 3 to 4 toothbrushes. So imagine this small change of an impact that's shifting from a plastic to a bamboo can create such good amount of change in the overall footprint. And imagine 500 to 600 million people, sorry, not people, 500 to 600 million toothbrushes. Even if 10 to 15% of them gets replaced, imagine the impact that we are doing. The next one that is after toothbrush is to keep your houses clean. So every time we're buying these cleaning bottles, one is it's about plastic. Second, they're also from toxic cleaners. I mean, you just take your own any of the branded cleaners that's available in your households and look at the backside of it. They're all written saying that toxic for the aquatic environment. Because of the chemicals that are being used, there is a difference. Now, I wouldn't say that the cleaners that which are available in the market, which come in the form of capsules or in the form of powders, this as good as the ones which are available in the plastic, which we all know. Not just naming those brands, but we know those brands, and it's not might not be as efficient in terms of cleaning the toilets. But the reason is because of the chemicals that are being used. But when it comes to floor cleaners, air fresheners, or these kind of products, they're extremely good because then the chemicals are not required to that extent. So one, you use one less plastic bottle by actually reusing your plastic bottle. So since last 2 years, I haven't bought a new plastic bottle at home because the same plastic bottle is being reused every month, right? So imagine the amount of plastic bottles that I would have probably used in the last 2 years if I hadn't probably started reusing these bottles. Point one is on the and it takes hardly 5 minutes. All we need to do is take those capsules, put them in the old bottle. I'm just having a small video. Yeah. So it's just about those capsules, filling them with your water from a tap water, and it turns out into your solutions within just 5 to 10 minutes, right? So it's reusing. It might be your PET bottle. It could be your bottles from the products itself. So it's because ultimately you're nothing but transporting water. Otherwise, 80% of them is water and just 20% of them is solution. So instead of just traveling with waters, you're actually creating these small sachets, which reduces your transportation costs. For our offices, it reduces the spaces that we would have to use 1,000 cleaners of these cleaners would fit into a drawer, whereas it would take so much of space in offices otherwise. So from a tick perspective of sustainability, cost-wise, and in terms of the space availability, that could be reused for a different purpose. The next product which I was talking about is on paper. We all know where paper comes from cutting down of trees. So 1 ton of virgin paper would require about 20 to 24 trees that needs to be cut. And so when paper is thrown and it reaches the landfills and it starts rotting. It emits about 5,600 pounds of CO2 equivalent. So paper is another big problem, and it's about just 25 to 30% of the paper in India is actually being recycled. The remaining of the paper is going to the landfills itself. So why don't we start using recycled paper products? It could be in the form of notebooks that we use for our children. It could be in the form of notepads or diaries for our events, for our offices. Or it also could be in terms of this toiletries like the serving napkins, the toilet rolls, the M4 tissues. So in terms of it's not just about one particular that product of diary notebooks, but it's also for the other paper that we use, which is for the napkin and other tissues. So not just that, in terms of the cutting down of trees, recycled paper actually reduces in terms of the electricity that is being used, which is 75% of the electricity could be reduced, and about 90% of the water, because the pulping process is where most of the water is taken when you use a virgin paper. And there's a lot of bleaching that happens because we all like to have our papers white in color. Whereas the recycled paper, you can see them generally in brown color because there is no bleaching as a process that is being added. And it saves water. So 90% of the water is saved and about 75% of the electricity is saved. So recycled paper has such big amount of impact also which can have, which is this small change of we started using recycled papers. The next thing is just a small thing on lighting. We can have a debate about whether it's 77%, 60%. I mean, some places it's 60%, 70%. But the point I'm trying to tell in electricity is that fossil fuel electricity is not going to go off in India, at least for the next 8-10 years. We're still going to have 40, 50, 55% of the electricity that is still being driven out from the fossil fuel, which is coal-based in India. And it's estimated that to produce 1 kilowatt hour of electricity, we need about 0.4 kgs of coal. So just a rough calculation that if we have a 25 watt of bulb, which is an LED light, and we use say for about 7 hours in a day, and we have about 4 in a hall or in the entire house, 2 in the hall, 1 in the kitchen, 1 in the room, and just about the 30 days, you can see just the difference of this much from one bulb I'm talking about. We can save about 43 kgs of coal. And coal is nothing but the derivative of the mining industry. So just small calculation in terms of every 10 minutes, if you probably are saving 10 into 1 hour of it, which is about 60 minutes. So 1 hour of saving that we can bring in can result in terms of 43 kgs of coal that we can reduce. So small habits, like I'm just moving out of this hall. I know I'm going to be back another 10 minutes time, but switching off still makes an impact at a long run. Another thing which I'm not anyway associated with this company, but I love this company, what they're doing, and it's such a small change, but actually it's deriving such a big impact. This company is called as Bintix, and it's operating in Delhi, Lucknow, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, and Mumbai. So people who are working, who are watching this and from these cities can actually get in touch with this company. So they have an amazing thing that they come to your doorstep and collect these waste and they reward you. So you are actually earning from your waste. So I've earned about say 600 rupees in the last 3.5 years of it. But that's not the point of me getting earnings from this. The point that it's going to proper recycling centers, which is actually either the segregated waste is either actually recycled or it's repurposed or it's removed with proper incinerations. So they collect all these kinds of waste like the paper waste, which is your newspaper, magazines, stationery, junk mail, cartons, get a lot of Amazon online or Flipkart, boxes, all these things could be put into this, cardboards, paper cups, plates, the Swiggies and all this, Swiggies, Zomatos, all these could be put into this thing. So it's a normal cover which is barcoded, which is in the form of QR codes. So you can put this paper waste, plastic waste, e-waste, glass waste, metal waste, and other wastes. So all this kind of waste can be put into this cover, and every week, judiciously, they come over to your doorstep, they pick up the waste, and immediately you're rewarded with the amount based on the kgs of it, the waste that you have given to them, and you're rewarded. So why not actually switch to such solutions where your waste is actually being recycled or repurposed, and at the same time you're being rewarded? So just another small habit. So instead of putting into a dustbin, just going and putting it into this small blue color cover, and that's a small change which can have a big impact in terms of you earning, also in our waste being sent out to proper centers and being managed in a proper way of it. The other waste that we talked about was the textile. Just about some good startling statistics is that to make just 1 kg, one jeans, a single pair of jeans and 1 kg of cotton, which requires about 9,000 liters of water. And it said that every second worldwide, there is a truck which is full of the textile waste, which is going to the landfills. And we know what happens in terms of drainage, choked and all. And to make these textile, there are dyes and chemicals being used where there's another resultant in terms of the air pollution and the water pollution. So just the fashion industry contributes to about 3% of the global GHGs and about 20% in terms of the chemical dyeing for about water pollution. So there are other statistics which say that we use just about 7 to 10 times before actually throwing out our waste. So that's about decline for about 35% in the last decade. So this culture of use and throw, or just using it for 7 times, using it for 10 times, actually is creating more and more usage or more and more textiles that we're buying, but actually we're using it for very less number of times, and then there's a reverse calculation of in terms of number of clothes that is being manufactured in various ways of contributing to the air and the water pollutions. So although 95% of the textiles have the contribution to be recycled, today India is just about 15%. So the remaining amount of textiles could be repurposed, recycled, upcycled in terms of various products that you can see here. Some of the photos that I've mentioned could be your laptop bags, school bags, or the tote bags, different kinds of purses. So various stylish things could still be done, but you might not be able to get the same because one jeans could be blue, one jeans could be black, but it still looks out in terms of how you can bring the style quotient to it. But we need those behavioral shifts in terms of shifting to upcycled products that we could start using. So, of course, Singapore and other places have started using exchange fashion at thrift stores, where they exchange their current fashion where it is not being torn out, and there are companies in Germany which started renting out jeans. Can you imagine you're starting renting out jeans? So it's not just about owning now, it's about also renting fashion. So not a few years down the lane where might catch up in India as well, we start renting out the clothes. And that reduces the overall usages in terms of the textiles that are being produced, but at the same time, the number of usages could be reduced, like 7 to 1 can come to 1 to 2 times, but it helps in the overall GHGs. That's the point. Talked about sanitary pads. One pad is equivalent to about 4 plastic bags, and that takes about 500 plus years to decompose. And the woman, it's said about, say they use about 11,000 sanitary pads in their entire menstrual cycle of it. So if you look at it in India, it's about 1,230 crores of pads which are disposed every year. And each of these pads, they said that 28% of these pads thrown is in the routine waste, 28% of them is in the open waste, in the open areas, 29% of them is in buried, 15% are burnt openly. And we know what happens when you burn plastic, dioxins, carcinogens, various diseases, it starts resulting in terms of. So, what alternatives? There are alternatives that consumers could switch to menstrual cups, where one cup could be used for minimum 6 to 10 years of time based on the brands of it. So thereby we are reducing the number of sanitary pads, and it's a beautiful shift in terms of once person shifts to these menstrual cups, at least the people that I've known, they've never gone back to sanitary pads. So it's such a wonderful product that people can shift to pads to menstrual cups. But if people who wants to switch to organic or want to be sustainable within sanitary pads, there are organic pads that are available in the market, which are made from cotton pads. So not the plastic ones. So they're all cotton pads, and they're all biodegradable. They come with they can biodegrade with 8 to 10 months of time, and they also come with biodegradable pouches, which is not plastic. They're made from corn starches. So this is in terms of circle, travel circle that we call about. So if you look about this report from Nielsen, it talks about Indian urban mobility. 71% of the Indian car owners either travel alone or with one passenger. So there's just about two people in one car, and 74% of them say that they have all problems in terms of parking infrastructure. So just something that I suggest, something I try to follow. This X and kilometers could be based on your things, but if there is a certain kilometers that I would want to commute, I would prefer walking. It could be just 500 meters or within a kilometer, preferable in terms of walking. X plus 5 could be 1, 2, 3, but based on your exercise capabilities and things, you could start using a two-wheeler. X plus 10 kilometers could be car. But of course, I'm not bought in the points of public transportation, shared mobility, and these things like that, which we could all use. But if you're talking about as an individual, you want to commute, these are the ways how we can actually think about, do I really need to take a car and go if I'm just going 1 kilometer from here? Yeah, when it's not, because you see that just about 81% of the commuters carry just one laptop bag in their daily commute. That's what Nielsen talks about. So if it's just that much that I'm traveling, do I need to really have a lot of carbon that I burn while traveling in a car? So I'm just putting these thoughts, these are tiny changes, but it's just that we're getting more conscious about it and saying that whether we need to travel by walk, two-wheeler, or a passenger car. The other good thing is, which we can do is small change in terms of big impact is composting. So we could all compost at our own homes, and it really doesn't bring a lot of change in terms of the smell. People have problems. No, it's not at all. So, but why is that really important in terms of how it's combating the climate changes? Because one, I talked to you about the Bintex and other company which is handling our dry waste. So people ask what to do about the wet waste. The wet waste is simple in terms of handling, in terms of the composting. Because landfilling is the third largest source of human-related methane emission that we do. And methane has actually 20x the times of CO2 warming of our planet, which actually is a much bigger problem than sometimes the carbon emissions. So composting is a great alternate that we can all start using. First and foremost is reducing the amount of food waste that we generate. And the second thing is whatever waste, small waste that we have in terms of wet waste, that could easily go into the composters that we could all use at our own homes. These are small changes, but actually results in so much of impact. So all these composters that we get at the final manure could be put into our soils, which will actually increase the nutrients in the soil and water holding capacities. So it's said that not if you in the pots, but if you put it in terms of the topsoil, what it takes to build about 6 inches of topsoil could be around 1,800 years normally. But if you start doing composting, it says that it's just about 6 months. So see the difference in terms of amount of years that we could take to generate the topsoil. And degrading of soil also results in terms of releasing of carbon. So one time of this application of this compost makes the carbon sink again, and the soil can capture these carbons again. So small changes, but actually big impacts again in terms of composting. Other small general habits, just I think we all know about some of them, but nothing wrong in reinstating and making ourselves re-aware of these things. Carrying reusable water bottles. Of course, you even today I was at a very premium hotel, but still had a water bottle, 250 ml of it given to all the guests that are coming out. I mean, does it really impact in terms of carrying a reusable water bottle in our bags? Coming to bags, reusable bags that we can carry when we move out of our homes. Skip level and skip day, which is people who are non-vegetarians can skip one level down in terms of the carbon footprints that each of these kind of foods contribute, or probably skip a day. Could be a meatless Monday or a meatless Tuesday or a meatless whatever one day in the week, and thereby actually creating small impacts. So these are the overall kind of small changes that I thought of how we can actually bring in our day-to-day lifestyles. Just about rethinking what are we doing in today's time, how are we managing our day-to-day entire day, and is there something that we can really bring small changes in our daily lifestyle, which will actually bring a lot of big impact for sustainability. So the final slide, which I will end up saying, is that the three big threats is that the belief that someone else will fix the problem. No, we are part of the problem. Every one of us should just be more conscious of our choices. Promises, not just in terms of with no actions. You can just draw one or two actions, and that's good enough to make real good impacts. But promises without necessary action is no good. And also saying that, believing that we can do it from next year, or we can do that from the other next year. No, believing that the environmental problems can be solved tomorrow. Today is the day that we can all start with. So with that, I probably end this session. These are small changes, but I'm sure that somewhere one or the other thought would have hit our minds, and we will probably re-question our consciousness of whether we would want to bring a small change in our daily lifestyles, which is resulting in terms of having a greener footprint.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Prasad. See, I would like to first of all share one funny experience when you talked about using the water bottle to create a detergent. We were doing audit in Bosch, corporate audit from Germany, and then these guys came and they found a Bisleri bottle full of some detergent kept in the toilet. And so he said it's a major deviation because as far as safety is concerned, there is a very high risk that the guy can drink that water so that it is going to cause a problem. So then my boss, Lakshmi, he said that, look, in India, we don't, first of all, drink water from a bottle in a toilet. That is not our culture. And the second is, we can't drink water which is colorful. We drink water which is transparent. Okay, that's on the lighter side, but still that was a point to be noted, and we had to discontinue with that habit. Now, whatever you said, I felt are the outcomes of evolution. When I say outcomes of evolution, if I look the way I used to live 55 years back when I was a kid, we didn't have any waste garbage at all. The garbage used to be very minimal in the house because we didn't have fridge. So whatever you cooked had to be completed during the same meal. So we would not have a big amount of garbage. The only garbage used to be some leaves or whatever that we would have cut from the vegetables, which you would basically put in the same garden. So it would get mulched again. So there was no concept of a need for decomposting and things like that.
Absolutely.
And in terms of soaps, in terms of all the other cosmetics, etc., none was there. None were there. And on Sunday, we would have in Kannada, it's called as Enne Snana, which is basically use groundnut oil
Yeah,
or gingerly oil, and after that use shikekai, which is again another uh, totally organic powder
absolutely.
for rinsing your body. So there were really not much amount of waste. And from there we evolved. And even in terms of the home appliances, we didn't have a fridge at home. We didn't have a grinder at home. So therefore there was no possibility of grinding. We had to use the rubokallu. That's what it was called as in Canada. It's a kind of a
The grind, grind.
grinding stone, which is possibly not very known for the younger generation because many of the houses don't have it at all now. So the grinding stone was used. So on the one side, there was a lot of physical activity. And we didn't have a car, we didn't have a two-wheeler, so we had to walk. So if you look at the evolution, we have evolved, our lifestyles have improved, our life has become easier. And at the same time, we have got to a lot of lifestyle diseases like diabetes, coronary heart disease, and whatnot, obesity. So now my synthesis from whatever you said is that look, it's a question of awareness. It's a question of bringing awareness. It's not about not knowing what can be done, but really bringing about the awareness. So my question to you: what should be the one is today? Whatever we are doing is a good opportunity for bringing awareness. Apart from this, what else can be done in the society for bringing in awareness? What else can be done?
Um, See, I believe that India works on two things when it comes in terms of the behavioral thing. One is Bollywood, one is cricket. So we need celebrities to start endorsing and talking about these products. I'm really very happy when actually I saw Mr. Narendra Modi talking about life, his lifestyle for sustainability. And he used a jacket which is made out of plastic, PET bottle plastic jackets. So it is about, you saw at that period of time, there was such a huge rush of people talking about these products on social platforms. There was a lot of, I would say, in terms of a lot of noise which was made when it was Mr. Modi who did that, right? And we need such celebrities, we need such people to talk more about it. I wouldn't expect Mr. Modi to talk about it day to day because he has much bigger problems to solve. But there are bigger influencers of each of our day-to-day lifestyles who needs to, because it's a multiplier effect, right? Every one of us have a certain big of influencer or people who would want to kind of endorse or start using these products, and therefore we start using of it. What has happened is in sustainability, we do not yet have that in terms of bigger people. I don't have, why isn't that, I don't see a menstrual cup ad in any of this. Why isn't that big companies use menstrual cups? Because there is no repeat business. In sanitary pads, you have a repeat business on a month to month. But in menstrual cups, once you use it's for 6 years, you don't have that customer coming back at all. Or for 10 years, you don't have that customer coming back at all. So when there's no revenue, you don't have someone to a big celebrity to endorse your product, and therefore that thing comes down. Of course, there's a lot of work. There's pure, amazing eco-conscious people who are working day in, day out. But I think the age groups of like me, I'm not an Instagram influencer at all. I struggle in terms of how do I put in the message of glamour, catchiness in terms of how this awareness can be brought about to all the consumers. So that's something as an SIT group we could always voice out, and how do we bring this into the
Yeah,
multi
see,
aspect of
in
this.
that direction, I had a suggestion to make. See, you are in sustainability group. If possible, we can ask the other members in the SIT itself who are in the sustainability field, want to promote that. Maybe we have some kind of a special group. And if you guys can come up with some kind of a campaign, okay, campaign possibilities, because it's all about awareness. Once the awareness is there, then there is a change in the lifestyle, which could bring in new products, new kind of businesses, etc. And then we could approach the corporates who are already in SIT itself to see if they can divert some of the CSR funds for doing these campaigns. So it could be a win-win situation for all. Just give a thought and maybe we can touch base later. In the
Absolutely.
meantime, Sagar was wanting to ask a question. I think he had raised his hand, he left. So in the meantime, if anybody else wants to comment anything, please go ahead. Yeah, I think Sagar is back. Sagar, you wanted to ask something?
Hi, Dinakar. Sorry,
Yeah, you wanted to ask something.
Sagar,
Comment
first of
something.
all, I want to really appreciate you having a son along with you in terms of educating this. So thank you so much. That's a good thing.
Yeah. The topic, first of all, sit chat is something that he's always interested. He always asked me for it, and today was a topic where I felt that know what sustainability is, and he was more interested in knowing all this. He had a lot of things to ask. I said, first you understand and then ask next time. Now, Prasad, very quickly to ask my question. You are aware, I mean, Creatrix Design Studio, you are aware, we've met, we've discussed. One greatest challenge what both of us are facing is getting this whole concept of sustainability. You are doing it day to day life, we are looking at a bigger one which is a part of day to day life. Want to understand what are our common challenges and what would you suggest, I mean, being in the same field but in a different product altogether. I mean, we design for sustainability, mud block houses, etc. What would that you want to suggest to us? How do we look at clients and convincing them? What would you suggest, Prasad?
See, Sagar, I think this is an extension of the question what Mr. Dinakar said. One is awareness for sure. Sustainability is a buzzword which I believe is not just limited to these products. It's actually a mindset and a behavioral change which needs to be brought by the entire ecosystem, which is including you, me. It's not that I'm working with plastics, so I'm limited to my ecosystem. It needs the entire ecosystem of should come in together, and we until and unless we have laws and regulations support from the other side, it's difficult for us to bring in the entire behavioral shifts. Okay, I think we are all in the book of Atomic Habits, like Mr. James Clear talks about the four C's that he talks about: cues, cravings. So how does one really crave for having that habit, right? So if that craving needs to come, it cannot come just me or you. Ecosystem needs to come together, and that's only going to happen if we all can, like he suggested, we all need to come together as a sustainable group, voice it up, because we have been talking to the governments as an individuals where we want sustainability to have the reduced costing for in terms of subsidies of the taxations, because there is an economy of scale. So a recycled paper is being taxed the same as a virgin paper. I mean, I'm talking about the regulations also needs to come. So I'm saying that it's not something that I alone can solve, or you alone can bring. We have to come through as ecosystems, and we need to take the government into this support. Uh, Sorry, but I go to some government meetings where still PET bottles of plastic bottles are kept in terms of in the politicians thing. So the awareness needs to be started at their end also, right? So
I'll give you an irony. I'll give you a small irony. There was a meeting with architect Jaisim and Indira, all these people. And this meeting was held in a hotel in Delhi. And one of the, I mean, you know that I'm like pointing the face. I straight away, couldn't we have this meeting in an open air? We are talking about sustainability, and AC is something that we are sitting in. So Jasim just took it on that, and the next step, what the entire event would be for me. I mean, that is what we are. We are so hypocritic about what we are trying to talk. I mean, the COP28, what you mentioned, right? I mean, a lot of hypocrisy around. Anyways, not something that I and you alone. But thanks, Prasad. I suppose it's the ecosystem we coming together as a community is probably something that's going to yield in a big way. Yes, that's and Prasad. One more added question. See, there is a perception and probably a reality also that sustainable products, okay, are not economically viable. How would you want to answer that question, Prasad?
Yeah, that's a challenge that I face. That sustainable products are not economical, but if I talk about those cleaners, they're as good as and as economically as our Harpiks or Lysols or other that we buy. And the bamboo toothbrushes, they are just about 10 rupees, little expensive than your plastic toothbrushes. So I'm talking about sustainability to be affordable. Now, when you tell me about recycled rubber bands, which is going to cost me 2,000, 3,000 rupees, no, it's a niche, very niche segment. So not in that. So we need to, that's why the voice needs to get more louder. Otherwise, the ones who has the money will do good amount of marketing, and that perception will get more and more stronger with the people that sustainable products are expensive. So it's about the margin games of how much margins you want to keep, and if you want to do more marketing, then of course you need to add more margins to it. But if you don't do more marketing, then the voice gets more louder and stronger to the people that sustainable products are expensive. So it's about how optimally you want to play with the entire thing of from the manufacturing to the consumers.
Yes, a little on the just to contradict some of the main points which you mentioned, only for the sake of debate. First, see, if you look at it, today we talk about sustainability because we have realized that whatever we have been doing to make ourselves more comfortable has resulted in harming the planet, right? And the overall creation. Now, if you look at Sagar was mentioning about AC and sitting outside, it's a nice, what should I say, thought that you could sit outside. But are you not sacrificing comfort to sit outside? That's a question which one needs to ask. Or, for example, you say bamboo toothbrush costs a little on the higher side. Now, you are not competing with anybody. You're competing with a guy who's possibly selling a toothbrush at 8 rupees or whatever it is. So unless because the guy who was using a twig to brush his teeth had a wow experience when he got a toothbrush and a toothpaste. Now, in my opinion, we are mainly on one side we talk about needing to do sustainability. At the same time, we should, as a society, be more challenging, more competitive, more performance oriented in making sure that the sustainability products the products become sustainable, have a huge advantage over the existing ones, so that the evolution can happen in a sustainable manner.
Exactly.
Instead of giving solutions which are almost there and expecting people to shift to that, because you spoke about sanitary pads. When the sanitary pads came, the life of a woman was transformed from darkness to light. And now to say that, look, why should she give up that and try to do something different, which she's not sure whether it will work or not. She has suffered for such a long time and transformed her life, and that is doing good. So you look at the amount of effort required to really bring in a product which could be better. You know, if the idea of the companies making sanitary pads was to make money, so be it. That is definitely there, right? You can't stop that. But at the same time, the other product, whatever you're talking about, if it is so good, I don't know, I have not experienced that. Whoever who has experienced it should be bold enough in speaking up very vociferously about that new product, which says that, look, it is better than the other one which I'm using, but still it is better for the environment. So guys, shift on to that. When that has not happened, there are two possibilities. One is either the new product which you are recommending is good enough, but not better, not giving an overall wow impact, which the other earlier product is giving. So that's something which we need to keep in mind. When awareness on one side is nice, at the same time, we should really look at pushing our companies, pushing our sustainability experts to come up with solutions which are better than what we have today, without sacrificing the comfort and the lifestyle that we are used to.
Absolutely. In fact, that's what you see the third pillar of our company. We say technological innovations to make the products equal and superior than the current alternatives. So that's a very strong pillar that we believe that the products needs to be giving the same wow experience as the current products. And that's another way why people will shift. So
Correct. So anybody else have any comments? Otherwise,
Yes,
we
Dinkar sir, I have something to
Amarji,
ask.
last words to you.
Good,
Yeah, please go.
good evening, ask. Prasad, good evening to you. Wonderful explanation today. I just wanted to know one thing, that what you are telling, sustainability here. Now, coming to this issue was the coal industry. You're talking about the consumption of coal in the production of electricity. Now, most of the coal mines are where a lot of manual labor is employed, apart from mechanical and other things. Now, if you are saying that if consumption of coal comes down, the pollution will come down, environment will change. But how about the displacement of the labor?
this is like, so when the car industry came in, the one who were riding the horses had lost their jobs. So they evolved to make sure that they became more in the driving, right? So it's about that whenever new innovations happen, the skill sets have to evolve. Otherwise, innovations will never take place. So when the people who were driving the horses had to lose their jobs. So that's about how you evolve and how the governments and everything upgrade the skill sets of people to make sure they are in place with the current skills what's required.
Yeah, Ankit, over to you.
Yeah, hi. So I just thought I'll just add to what Prasad was saying. Regarding coal, there are maybe not two ways, but three ways war. One is when the coal is being extracted, if you see, they are very dense forest, wherever it is happening. So the Green Tribunal is always on radar whenever that is happening, and it is definitely displacing a lot of jungle as well as the animals. So it impacts definitely both of them. While as a growing country, we definitely need the power. Without that, no country can survive. And I think our government is making all effort to look at all renewable type of fuels. But coal is definitely having an impact. One is while it is extracted. Second is while it is burned. So I think we definitely need to invest more in renewable technologies, and at the same time look at how we can reduce the transmission and technical and commercial losses, because they are like about 15%, and the government has been trying quite some time. How they can reduce it, but I think with few additional efforts we are going to save it. In fact, today only I was speaking about Bangalore climate and all. And I have tried to evaluate in my apartment that how can I switch to solar things, because basically I'm from Gujarat. There the government is giving a lot of subsidies for individuals to come up with a solar energy generation, and they gave it. But in India, in Bangalore, what happens is I think the sun, the rays are not enough to get the IRR to get the energy out. But solar heater is something which we can definitely come, because out of 12 months, it is almost 7-8 months we have cold. We definitely need hot water. So I think that is something which we can start with, and that will save electricity. So ultimately, the power generation. So just
Good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea. I think so. One more thing which I wanted to share. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. See, today everything goes, we call when you go to the market, organic. We are looking at organic. Everyone talks about organic. It took a long time worldwide to accept what is organic. Number one. The second one, as we said, acceptability. Millets. Today, why they are millets? No one knew what was millets a few years back. We thought a staple food was ragi. Okay, fine, go ahead with the wheat, rice. But millets today, they are more expensive than what a common regular food we eat. So I think so. It takes time for what you are doing, Prasad. People will accept it. If not today, tomorrow they'll accept it. I'm sure about it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you
Thank you, Amarji. See, what Ankit was talking about, the T&D losses in India, it is about 20%.
20%.
Much more than teen. And best in the world is in South Korea with 3%. Germany is about 4%. Now, if you have to work on that, you look at the overall complexity of the problem. If you have to work on that, then you need to be going for high-end contractors then in the entire distribution system, and the distribution connector, distribution technology, whatever we are using today, should be upgraded. And we cannot have overhead lines everywhere. Everything in the city should be underground, which means that the probability of somebody tapping, where does this T&D loss come from? The majority of the loss comes from somebody tapping the electricity without really paying for it. And we should come up with schemes where the subsidy is not given for free electricity. Now, electricity is free for all the farmers. If you're a farmer, it's free electricity. Instead of that, you give subsidy for making sure that the productivity increases. Subsidy for increasing productivity. That means how much amount of output is he getting per acre or something like that. So it's a much more complex issue when it comes to sustainability in energy generation, sustainability in much more macroeconomic topics. But I think we always have a way. It's only a question of everybody coming together to work in the direction. And of course, I also agree to whatever Amarji said in terms of the total employment. I remember in Germany, there has always been a discussion of transitioning from the conventional railway to the maglev trains. Maglev train is a technology wherein you don't have any physical contact between the rail and the line. And these trains can travel at speeds of 500 kilometers an hour, almost as fast as an airplane. And in China, that's the only operational one today, the one which takes from Shanghai airport to China City, Shanghai City. That is the only translev which is operational, commercially operational. Now, there was a massive lobby. On one side, ThyssenKrupp, which is the company which wanted to do the Transrapid. They call it the Transrapid maglev trains. And on the other side, you got Siemens and the entire Bombardier, all these guys who are making the conventional trains, conventional power systems. So they have a big problem, because if that Transrapid comes in, their technology, their machines, their lines, everything will go for a toss. So the entire employment will go for a toss. So I think these challenges will always be there. But as long as we are together and we keep talking about sustainability more and more often, I think at some point of time, there will be a tipping point. Amarji, I want you to conclude finally, and then we'll close our chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prasad.
Thank you, Dinakar sir. Prasad, I think so. You shared a very good topic today, a much needed one that everyone should understand. What could be the impact on waste management?
Yeah.
I think so. We need to understand that we should have impactful changes, alternative products to reduce waste. What we do. Carbon footprint, I think so. We forgot to talk about this. Carbon footprint, I think so. Most of the companies now are sharing this as points, or whichever way they're getting benefited on the carbon footprints, saving on waste management. As I said, it's basically an acceptance. As we accept today organic food, organic anything that you're clothing. There are many people today, they are consuming this waste, what you say, into different products. Like textile waste in Vapi, there's a person who converts all the waste, textile waste, into bricks for construction. Likewise, I think so. There are many people like you who are bringing this impactful change on the environment using products that will save life for us and made a better living space for mankind. I think so. Well said subject today, and we look forward to hear more from you. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And bye for next week's sit chat. Thank you so much. Thank you, Prasad.
Thank you. Bye-bye.